another year. You happy with the deal?
Yeah, happy as can be.
Did you ever fear that the club weren't going to retain you?
Look, I think I've been here now 6 years. Last year we had the best season we've ever had, I think, in club history. This year we've had a lot of turmoil, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of things that we didn't plan for at the beginning of the year, and we got through. And if the club felt that they needed to go down another path, then so be it. But they felt as though I'm the right man to take the club forward.
What do you think needs to happen to get back to those heights of last season? What are you planning to change?
Well, having a fit squad will, be a big start. I think that you saw at the beginning of the year when we had a full squad and almost close to full contingent. We're very competitive, so we'll be looking to curb that, and then also make some additions to the squad and add to the attacking quality that we have, and hopefully that should solidify us.
Is there any obvious area you want to strengthen the playing squad?
Probably looking at bringing in one or two creative options. Potentially a defender or two. So yeah, but again, those things will pan out over the next month or two.
Chief, was it a decision you ummed and ahed over, or was it an obvious one for you to stay on?
No, look, I love the club. I've been here for a long time. I feel like this season was not ideal, so I have a little bit of unfinished business, and I want to make sure that I can take the club forward. So staying, wasn't something that I had to think long and hard about. But again, I want to leave this place and leave the club in a better place than this season.
Such contrast in seasons, obviously last year and this year, for whatever reason. How do you go about proving that, I guess, this year was just a one-off?
Well, I can't until we get results. So I'll leave that towards the end of the year. Again, we have to work on making sure that we have a fit enough squad or close to full fitness, and making sure that the young players that we're coming through, are playing consistently, and the players that we have around them, the senior players, are the right mix, so that we can get results from a weekly basis.
I know you know how passionate the fans of this club are. I guess polarising opinions of wanting you to stay or wanting you to go. What are your message to the ones that perhaps didn't want you to stay?
I don't have a message for them at all. Look, again, the thing is last year's success. I remember at the beginning of the season, everyone wrote us off. There were people in this room that said that we'll come dead last. We were able to hit heights that no one thought that we could. This season, probably the expectation was a lot higher, but I think also people need to understand that, when you have a lot of turnover of players and so on, it's going to affect consistency, playing style, and so on. So for me, it's getting back to those things and making sure that we can turn over performance, and then the rest will work itself out.
And when you look back and I guess reflect on the season, is it hard to do that, I guess, knowing how much injuries and destruction there was?
Everyone looks at it as a bad thing. I actually look at it as a great opportunity for us to move forward. There's a lot of boys this season that have been given a lot of game time that otherwise wouldn't have if we were at full complement. So that's been a great thing, that puts us in a better stead for next season, because those boys now won't be inexperienced. The fact is now we have a bunch of under 20s that have almost had a full season now in the league, which is going to put us in good stead.
And I know you said that you've improved this season as a coach because of the things you've had to go through. How much do you think you have to improve again heading into next season to try and replicate what you guys did?
Well, I think for a large part, coaching is always evolving. So any coach that sits there and sits on his own laurels, is going to have very hard or very short career. You always need to improve. And again, I think the great thing about this season is just giving me the ability to see things that I didn't see in my first year. So now I know how to prepare. Now I know how important it is to have a plan B, plan C in terms of player availability and so on. And again, also just dealing with expectations. That's been a big thing.
What is more important right now heading into the off-season? Is it retention or recruitment for the club?
I think it's probably a mixture of both. Again, I'm going to sit down over the next couple of weeks and just map out what I think is best for the squad, and then I'll just go from there.
Are you confident the club has the budget to give you to get success next season?
Yeah, no, I think that's for a large part one of the reasons why, decided to continue. If I felt as though there wasn't enough resources, I don't think, would have been a good fit for either of us, but I feel like there's enough there that we can move forward.
Are you confident Costa will stay?
That's a conversation I need to have with him over the next couple of weeks. That's really going to come down to what his expectations are, and I'll discuss with him in the next couple of weeks.
Is he still an important player for you?
Costa's always been important. Last season, Costa was a little bit out in the wilderness from the last year, Wolfie's last year, in the sense that wasn't really starting. Was in and out of the team. He started with me last season as one of the front three attackers. Then we moved him out to a 9. And for a large part, we built the team around him last season, and it's no different this year. So still an important player.
And how do you assess the recruitment overall?
It depends what lens you put it, you observe it. I think if you look at purely by numbers, I think some of the signings that we've made, especially for the money that we paid for those players, been very good. I think it's just been more of the fact that we just haven't had a full complement of players playing all the time in order to get maximum effort of those, or maximum value for all those players.
The visa spot's always obviously something that you need to get right. Do you think that's a priority, or that's a bigger priority going into next season?
Yes. I think it's important that the visas come in. They give quality, very important. They bring the overall squad depth up as well. I think that's very, very important. But I think for a large part as well with visas, one thing that always gets understated is that first year most visas struggle, and second year is usually when they kick on. So we have a couple of boys in that position. So we're going to look to see how we build around those players.
This has obviously been a very difficult season, not only what you guys did last year, but just I guess personally for you and all the players. How, I guess, when you were going through the season, did you envision possibly that the desire wouldn't be there to return if you got the opportunity next season?
Sorry,
when it was very difficult throughout the season. Was
Sure.
there a point where you, I guess, envisioned you wouldn't want to come back next year?
No, not at all. My ambition and desire is always to make sure the club does well. I'm not one that quits, or just because we're having a bad year, throw my toys in and give up. That would be very uncharacteristic of a leader. I think it probably made me knuckle down even more, determined to make sure that we get something, in the future. So my resolve is quite strong now, and I want to bring success to the club. And again, I've learnt a lot, and I'm going to transfer that into next year's performances.
Is it frustrating for you that you're being judged on the best season in the club's history, and then what you've done this season?
Oh, look, it depends who's judging me. If it's uninformed and it's look, I've read a lot of crap, over the last couple of months about where the team's situation is and so on. The only people that know the real truth are the ones in the squad and how the team's going and so on. And there's a belief in the squad that, they can still turn things around. It might not be this season, but definitely, we want to replicate what we did last season for next year and so on. If you ask me, would I imagine all those things happening this year going wrong like they did? No. No, definitely not. But again, when it rains, it pours and so on. But I think we've, as a collective, learnt a lot this season.
And how's the squad when you told them or they found out you were staying?
Well, I wasn't in the meeting. I've been sick all day, so I've been trying to stay out of everyone's way. So, no, I've got a lot of, goodwill messages and so on.
What's the plan for the remaining games now?
We're going to try and win both games, at least put pressure on Newcastle, to get some results, and also Mariners make sure that they don't win. So we're going to give 100% and try to finish the season on a high.
And is there any regret not signing the deal in the off season when you
No regrets at all.